simultaneous live streaming. Welcome everybody. Oh my gosh. I have to say, you cannot see the whiteboard, right? Hi, Mama Kabara. I know you like this topic too much. Okay, science, health science. Okay. Now, if I will discuss about substances, vitamins, minerals, like that, the first step to be able to discuss is to know what is that all about, definition. The second, we need to illustrate what is the chemical formula, structural formula. Third, what is the source or the sources of that? Where can we obtain that particular substance? And number four, we need to know what's the reaction of the other substances. And then we need to find out what the food or drinks we are going to eat or drink in order to have a good level for that substance. And then lastly, we need to discuss the health benefits and the health effects, whether it is bad or good. Okay? So that it's very clear, right? Okay, first, we need to discuss the definition already kalas, right? Okay. So now, we go back, we go to the formula. Guys, ito yung the vitamin formula is so complex. Complex, a lot of cyclic structure, and then I will tell you the truth, you cannot memorize the formula of a vitamin and the multivitamins. Okay? Nobody dares to memorize that. The important is you know already the structuring, the chemical reaction, what's going to be the result, what's going to be missing, and what will be the happening after that. It's only like that. Okay? But if we really have to be, you know, technically precise, then we can do that also. Okay, but for the purpose of this conversation, only, you know, only not the complicated, the complex, or the ang kinatubuan, dili siya nga na akong discussion karon ha. Because vitamin and multivitamins are not really that explained properly, okay, in this chemical engineering because that is more on medical science and health science. Okay, under the MD, Doctor of Medicine, like that, technology, yeah, medical technology, pharmacies, nurse, like that. So not so much with nurse, I think so medical technology and pharmacist. Okay, because pharmacists are more on the formulation of the medicines. They have to know a lot of chemistry of the different substances, right? Okay, pharmaceutical, raw materials, pharmaceutical products like that. And medicines really are their experts, right? Something like that. So me, us, chemical engineers, we don't go to the detail, okay? But we only know the, you know, the background and the, you know, the foundation. Not really the, you know, the chuba-chuchu. Okay? Now, okay, mga sinitabo. Okay. Vitamin D, guys, but actually this is also discussed in our high school, right? We are taught in our high school was that vitamin C is ascorbic acid, like that, and then there's also what we call as a niacin. What's the equivalent of the niacin? I forgot. This equivalent name for that actually, right? And then here, since our specific topic is vitamin D, this is known as a calciferol. Okay, kaloka, di ba? So, vitamin D. Hindi nakakaloka, eh. Vitamin D. O, ganon. Calciferol. Note of the term. Calciferol. Na-IOL ang tumoy. Is this an alcohol family? Just like ethanol, propanol, cholesterol, glycerol. There's an OL at the end. Is this a alcohol family or not? That's why the first thing to ask first. And then second, there's a calci here. Calci is derived from calcium. Okay, that's why calciferol. Meaning to say, this vitamin D will regulate the calcium level as long as the phosphorus to maintain the adequate level of calcium and phosphorus absorption inside our body, like that. to have a good bone health, teeth health, skeletal health, to avoid rickets, okay, osteoporosis, and osteomalacia. Ganon, mga diseases na siya. Health benefits ako nang i-discuss ha. So, bad. Bad is rickets. Okay. One. Being weak or weakened, sorry, for children or infant like that. But for older people, this is osteoporosis. Okay. And osteomalacia. Kaloka. Diba? So, osteomalacia. So, in this case, guys, if you develop this too, you will develop chronic pain. You know chronic pain? A pain that will never be lost and disappear, always coming. Daily alatun. Daily. May bukas, sakit ang likod, sakit ang imong, liog, back pain. Dili siya mawala dyan siya for at least 1 year. Because chronic will appear for how many years? Like that. So that is chronic pain. Chronic pain is a symptom that you have an osteoporosis and osteomalacia, weakening of your bone. If your age will reach usually 60 years old and above through aging. Okay, like that. Okay, rickets is for children. Muna siya yung mga bad effects. For lack of vitamin D. Okay, lack of vitamin D. Vitamin D, or what we call vitamin D deficiency. Okay, vitamin D deficiency. Ganon. So, muna siya ang mga sakit na may tabo. Okay. That's the bad health effects. So, what are the good health effects? Okay, the good health effects for vitamin D. Okay, ako papasok ha. Just memorize. Sa'yo naman kayo memorize. Okay. The good health effects. Tampasawi. Good health effects. Sometimes the good health effects also considers as a function of that particular vitamin or mineral, something like that. So, good health effects. Okay, like that. The first really is, katugid siyang kuan, promote bone and teeth health. Something like teeth. Okay, so meaning to say, it will promote, okay, bone growth health and the teeth health. Okay, or skeletal. Okay, skeletal. The joints like that, the ligaments, the ankles, any type of bones. Like that. Okay, muna siya yung mga health effects. Promote bone growth health, teeth health, and skeletal. Okay, muna siya. Number 2. Ganon. What else? Anybody? So, this can also promote adequate level of calcium, promote adequate level of calcium. Meaning to say, guys, calcium is dependent with vitamin D. They work together. So the calcium will not be activated if it is not being absorbed. Okay, to the process of vitamin D absorption, like that, in the gut, or in the liver, or in the kidney. Ganun lang siya eh. Later, I will discuss further, okay? Promote adequate level of calcium, okay, and phosphorus, okay? Okay, to prevent, ito na siya, osteoporosis, osteomalacia, rickets, and the calcemic tetany. Wow, grabe no? Hypocalcemic tetany. Ano sabi siya, guys? This is an involuntary, muscles contraction. Dependent magod ang muscles at ang bone, right? The bone, of course, that is a backbone. the bone, and then the skin and the muscles is there, right? So if there's an involuntary muscle contraction, and then cramps will be developed, right? And then the spasm. So it's a sign that there's hypoglycemic tetany symptoms. Okay, then it can produce osteomalacia, osteoporosis. But the first step will be osteomalacia, the softening of your bone. Softening. Muhumok ang imong bone, din ba? Then it will be weakened. So upon weakening the bone, that is now osteoporosis. And then suddenly, it will break. Something like that. Okay? Muna siya. So muna siya ang iyang good health. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Dagani siya ang vitamin D, guys. Okay, what else? Okay, grabe na siya function ng vitamin D. Okay, regulate insulin hormone. Okay, regulate insulin levels or insulin hormone like that. Regulate also diabetes management. Meaning to say, if we have enough vitamin D, it's impossible that you will become diabetic because it will be managed and regulated through the process of this vitamin D. So regulate insulin level because it regulates insulin level, right? So of course the diabetes will be managed. Okay? Common sense. Okay? Like that. What else? Okay, number 4. Ganun siya, di ba? Promoting, ganun siya gamit, guys. Promoting immune health system. Di ba? Nervous, central nervous system. Central nervous system and the heart and cardiovascular. Okay. Number 5. Okay, supporting, grabe no? Supporting the lung function. Okay, and prevent cardiovascular diseases. Grabe, nakakaloka. Okay. Number 6, importante kay number 6. Influencing the expression of the genes. Katong mga DNA, RNA, nucleic acid. Okay, take note. Influencing the expression of the genes that involve in the development of the cancer cells. Hala. So if we have just enough vitamin D, sure ball, cancer will not be happening. Cancer, many kinds of cancer. Grabe gamit ang vitamin D, no? So you will never develop colon cancer, liver cancer, all types of cancer because it's the function of the vitamin D influencing the gene expression that involve the cancer cells. O diba? Grabe. Okay, 6 functions or health benefits of vitamin D. So mag-exam na ka, enumeration. What are the 6 functions of vitamin D? For example, if you are listening right now, enumeration. Okay. Enumerate mo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Diba? Okay. Ito na siya yung mga listing. The health benefits of vitamin D. Yan. Now, okay, wala sa health benefits as a function and the bad health effects. We go now to the prevention measures. But before that, let's go back to the sources, how we can obtain vitamin D. So that we can have the precautionary measures to solve and to attack this kind of diseases if we have lack of vitamin D. Okay, ganon. Asa mo na siya ma-found, guys? Take note, importante kayo siya, guys. Okay? The first major source of vitamin D is not from food. It's direct sunlight, ultraviolet rays of the sun. Bakaloka. Nobody dares to be exposed on the sun. It's very hot, right? Okay? But that's it. That's reality, right? Okay. So UV rays, ultraviolet rays, heat of the sun, sunlight. Okay? It's being mentioned there, 80% up of the vitamin D of every human being coming from the heat of the sun, the ultraviolet rays. But nobody dares to do that, especially for the people that are only working in the office. Okay, they're not exposed to the field. You get the point? So that's why we also feel back pain, lower back pain, cramp, because they're only sitting in the table and their chair and facing their computer because they are not exposed in sunlight. And those workers, laborers, or field engineers, or do inspection team, like that, the maintenance team, the electrician maintenance team, the safety officers, they are exposed in the field. So most of the times they receive higher content of vitamin D. Prangka-prangka pa gastorya. Okay? Uy, tago-tago ha. Ang nasa office, gamay na sila vitamin D. Now, they are opted to buy food supplements that rich in vitamin D and vitamin D vitamins, of course, because they don't have enough level in the UV rays of the sun. Okay? Like that. Okay. That's very clear, huh? Maybe the question in the future examination, let's say, board examination, question number 1, physical and chemical principles. Okay. What is the main source of vitamin D? Ano ra? A, blah blah blah, B, blah blah blah, C, blah blah blah, D, ultraviolet rays of the sun. Answer mo din siya. O UV rays, heat of the sun ang imong answer. Diba? Muna siya sources ng vitamin D ha. Major ang adlaw or Proxima Centauri. Okay? Source of vitamin D. Vitamin D siya guys. Okay. Number 2, food. Okay, any kind of food that rich in vitamin D o akong i-mention ng tagsa-tagsa. Nakaloka. Okay, number 1, milk. Okay, take note ha. Milk. Okay. Because milk rich in calcium. Normally, there's a vitamin D because, as I told you earlier, they are dependent with each other in the absorption into the intestines, in the liver, and in the kidney, something like that. Okay? So milk. What else? Probably cow. Usually cow's milk. Hala. Ang milk there, guys, na siya every drinking of the milk, 1 cup of milk, you can attain 40 lang siya. 40 IU of, vitamin D. Gamay na, no? International units. So, gamay na gud siya ang milk. Dako gud ang sun. Charot. If you drink milk since birth, it will be okay. But if you are not drinking too much milk since you are a kid, so problem. You will develop, vitamin D deficiency when you grow up. Right? Because your immune system already fortified that every time. Okay? Like that. So, number 2, ganun siya. Okay, 40 IU, international units. IU is the unit of expressing the leveling of vitamin D according to the dietary requirement, okay, amount, DRA, okay, amount intake, AI, something like that. So, I will say, 1 microgram per liter is equals to 40 IU, international unit. Okay? If you look at the milk, nutritional fact, vitamin D supplement, it's labeled there, the international units, how much. Okay? And the bottled milk also have expressed there. If you buy an Almarai, low fat, or full fat, it's mentioned there really the calcium content and the vitamin D. Okay? And then we have also almond. Nakakaloka almond. Diba? Almond, cereal. Okay? You know cereal? Okay? We have the egg. Okay? We have the salmon. Okay? Salmon, mackerel. Okay? The tuna. You got the point? These are rich in vitamin D. Mushrooms. Wow. Mushroom. Okay? Like that. Okay? Muna siya. Okay? Milk, almond, mackerel, tuna, and mushroom. These are rich in vitamin D. Okay? Of all of these, very unique guys based on the 1,100 international units of vitamin D. Imagine. What? cook that immediately is producing bacteria, fungi like that. So, eat mushroom in a fresh. Diretso lang bitaw kaning egg, gamitin egg. Egg. Ang egg food guys, ikuan iyaha. 200, kuan ang iyang kuha 200. 200 IU per egg yolk. Level of vitamin D. Right? So it's not true that when you eat that egg yolk, it's rich of low density lipoprotein or the bad cholesterol. It's not true. Okay? According to the study, that was already a myth, MYTH. Myth. Meaning superstitious, ideology or philosophy that there's no such evidence in the laboratory through sampling and analysis that it is causing high cholesterol. The egg yolk, sabi-sabi lang siya sa mga ninuno, ganon. Okay, egg yolk ka ng puwa sa egg. Taas yung level of vitamin D. So, ay kanaan niyo siya ha. Ganon. Something, okay, the protein like that, the lutein function of the egg yolk in the egg. So that clear eyesight, not blurred, to avoid glaucoma. So even though you are aging, if you eat eggs 3 times a day, okay, the egg yolk function is for the clear eyesight, to avoid cataract, glaucoma, like that, okay, and then increase also your level of vitamin D. Okay? Ang vitamin D guys, wala sa puti. Na siya sa orange na yolk. Okay? Ano siya? Okay, egg. Salmon, of course, apart from being, what do you call this one? Omega-3 fats, good for the health, nasa siya vitamin D. Okay? Like that. But it was not mentioned, but it is stated generally lang siya. Okay? Like that. Ang milk, gamay lang kayo. Depende siguro sa milk, no? Right? It depends on the kind of milk. Yeah, I read it also. If the milk is being produced in the outdoor, it's higher also international units because it's exposed on the sun. And then if the cow like that is not exposed to the sun, example, very close, there's a roof, there's a wall, like that, gamay na po iyang vitamin D. Nakuha, outdoor gid siya kay tungod sa UV rays. Just like the mushroom also, that's why. Because mostly of the mushrooms will grow in the field, not indoor. Okay? Like that. So, mo siyang taas din siya o higher value of vitamin D. Okay, so muna na siya ang sources of vitamin D to avoid those diseases I mentioned earlier and to avoid the vitamin D deficiency. Okay? Muna siya ang mga sources. Okay, sa food na siya. Three sources is the vitamin D supplement. No other choice. Okay, vitamin D sa mga tapulan. Okay? To those who are very lazy to be exposed to the heat of the sun and also, shall I say, very lazy to do the exercise like that, they would rather buy vitamin D supplement. But also not enough to equalize the level of vitamin D from the heat of the sun. Imagine. So, why spending money if there is available heat of the sun? Okay? Use mathematics. You're right? The cost. Okay? And for health also, when you walk there, it's an exercise already. We're receiving the heat of the sun. And there's no money involved. Whereas if you have vitamin D, for the supplement, then there's money involved. Maintenance when you grow old. And if you don't have job anymore, what will happen? Nga. Okay, because after 60 years old, you will not stop working. So, retirement. Palit pagka mga pagkaon, maintenance pa kasi mong vitamins. Nga. So, it's better sa sun talaga siya, guys, ha? UV rays. Okay? Heat of the sun. Now, I will explain to you what is the process. Okay.
Aux input mode.
Nakakalimutan.
Radio mode.
Noon,
The Bluetooth device is ready to pair.
Ganon. Arito sa process. Why? Guys, the color will matter. For example, white people, black people, brown people will receive different amount or levels of vitamin D when exposed to the sun for at least 10 to 15 minutes according to the study. Because the minimum time this vitamin D will work properly to the human being at least 15 minutes a day to be exposed. That is the minimum. So the better the higher, something like that. 15 minutes lang ka na exposed na nadyo kay vitamin D na anang higayon na. Okay? So that's the threshold limit value, TLV, something like that. Okay? Ganon. So, I will discuss the color. Nakakaloka. Diba? The outer layer of our skin is called epidermis, right? Like that. And there's a lot of pores, P-O-R-E-S. Now, the ultraviolet rays of the sun will be absorbed there. Okay? Will be absorbed there. And it will obtain vitamin D, not in the form of D alone, but in the form of vitamin D3. Okay? Vitamin D3. So it is just in the absorption process that it will turn to vitamin D later during the reaction in our anatomy structure. It will become now the D lang. Wala na siya substrate. But here, normally from the sun, it's still vitamin D3. Okay? Vitamin D3 or what we call this one, cholecalciferol. Charot. Now I will discuss why. Cholecalciferol. Okay, since we know that calciferol is vitamin D, and we add only chole before to calciferol. Chole stands for cholesterol. Imagine, we are afraid of higher cholesterol level, but cholesterol main function is for the absorption and conversion of vitamin D to human being if we are exposed to the heat of the sun. So the cholesterol level is very also important. But we are afraid, our cholesterol is very high. So things like that, right? We should remember that it's always in the normal range. That's the raw material of the conversion. Okay, cholesterol, C27H46 atoms oxygen. Okay, now, heat of the sun will react, light energy. Okay, this cholesterol will function, okay, to produce vitamin D. Okay, like that. But from vitamin D3, from the heat of the sun. Later on, it will become vitamin D inside our body. It will go to the liver, to the kidney, blah, 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 so and so, like that. But I will discuss later. Okay, so cholecalciferol comes from cholesterol. That is vitamin D3 we absorb. So for example, in the examination in the future, it will say, what kind of vitamin D absorbed by the heat of the sun? A, vitamin D, vitamin D2, vitamin D3, vitamin D4, E, none of the above. Your answer will be vitamin D3. Okay? Kailangan si vitamin D2. Di ba nakakaloka? Vitamin D2 is ergocalciferol. Okay? Muna nyo siya ito mga food or other sources. But exclusive lang vitamin D3 sa heat of the sun. Okay? Like that. So, ang vitamin D2 is ergocalciferol. Okay. Like that. So, kung may mga board examination yan in the future, blank is the another term of vitamin D2. May mga choices to. The answer will be ergocalciferol. Because science is always like this all the time, right? If you can observe, what is the another term of this? What is the function of this? Which does not belong to the group? Ganon. Okay? True or false? Ganon. Okay? Ganon siya. Is vitamin D is responsible for the clear eyesight? True or false? Maglibog gayon ka. Okay, ano na siya? Vitamin D2 and vitamin D3 are, the other constituents of vitamin D. Okay, the raw material, something like that. Okay, now, ako i-discuss ang kuan, vitamin D. Okay. So, primero guys, muadto siya sa liver. Okay? So, muna siya ang calciferol, vitamin D. How can we obtain vitamin D? Na D na yun siya. Okay? Dili siya D3, dili siya D2. Okay, so calciferol. Mawala pa ka ba? Ergo, ganun. Pero mo siya ang mga raw material. Okay, so calciferol. Okay. Now, the function of vitamin D is to promote, and i-promote niya ang absorption sa calcium. Na-imagine, hindi dito grabe, gamit sa vitamin D.
The Bluetooth device is ready to pair.
So, meaning to say guys, the calcium also will be useless without vitamin D. Because this will absorb the calcium concentration and the phosphorus concentration. Okay, what's the purpose for that? Okay, I will drawing it. Okay, absorb niya. Okay. Calcium absorption. Okay. Upon calcium absorption and phosphate absorption, so these are basically serum calcium. Ang tawag niya serum ha. S-E-R-U-M. Serum calcium and phosphate concentration. So, ibang tiba ng guys ngayon is, ang phosphorus and calcium will be going together in maintaining our bone strength and health with the functionality and with the help of vitamin D. You get the point? So they will not function as it was if there will be no vitamin D we have. Okay, something like that. So, dependent sila sa vitamin D. Okay? Yung anak siya. Okay, so, serum, calcium, and phosphate mo, taas siya, anak niya. Purpose niya, to mineralize. Wow, grabe. Mineralize means to produce minerals a lot, not only the phosphorus, like this. A lot of minerals atong body. So, to mineralize, okay, to prevent, kani siya nang gitawag na hypo, discuss na ako siya, hypoglycemic tetany. Wow. Figure kayo na doctor, hypoglycemic tetany. Wow. So, if we prevent hypoglycemic tetany, there will be no rickets, there will be no osteomalacia, there will be no osteoporosis, because this will be the starting point. Okay? Now you will feel involuntary muscle contraction, okay, spasm, and cramps. Kung pirmi na din ka mag-cramps, day ba? Di ba, maglingkod ka, no? I will tell you honestly, na-feel sa na ako usahay. Okay? If you are always sitting on your chair, and then you wonder why, mamanhog ka pirmi, right? Yung makramp ka, pirmi siya. Okay? Always. So that means, there's an involuntary, okay, muscle contraction that leads to cramps and spasm na hypocalcemic tetany. Oh, at that time, what are the foods rich in vitamin D? Oh, punon imong lawas sa vitamin D, mo expose ka sa heat of the sun, like that. Okay, because you are now having the hypocalcemic tetany. Again, hypocalcemic tetany. Hypo means lower. That's why hypo. Calcemic means the presence of calcium. So we need to say, you have lower level of calcium, hypocalcemic. And tetany is a syndrome or disorder. So, tukiun mo sa ang terms. Hypo, lower, lesser, calcemic, calcium. And then tetany is a sort of disorder and disease like that, or a syndrome, syndrome. Okay, be careful. Muna siya. Okay? Calcium absorption, which siya sa serum, calcium and phosphates, ang i-promote sa vitamin D. Okay, now, there are two processes for this guys to produce vitamin D. First stage will be in the liver. Second, in the kidney. Third is the intestine. Intestine is the gut, GUT, composed of small intestine and the large intestine. But in this case, it will be in the small intestine, not in the large intestine. Because in the small intestine, that would focusing on the digestion process there, right? Like in our anatomy study, like that in biology, second year high school, right? So it's there the digestion takes place, the nutrition in the small intestine. Okay? And then the kidney also here, like this, like this. The first process is hydroxylation. Nag-organic chemistry na po, di ba? Hydroxylation. Hydroxylation. Again, investigate the word. Hydroxyl is OH negative. Meaning to say, you add OH in the reaction of this D2 and D3 to produce vitamin D as calciferol in the liver. Because this will be spreading to another organs, vitamin D receptors. Not only the liver, the kidney will accept that, but also the other organs will accept that. Okay? Ang tawag nila ana is vitamin D receptors na ipasapasa dito ni liver. Ganon. Okay? So that is hydroxylation. And then ang formula niya guys, muna siyang higayon na. So 25 OH. Ganon, di ba? OHD. Take note, if you buy a vitamin D supplement, there's a chemical formula 25, okay, parenthesis hydroxyl OH and capital D. That would mean this is a hydroxylation of vitamin D as a calciferol, like that. Second, after the liver, okay, adto sa siya sa kidney. The second hydroxylation process, again, hydroxylation, adding also another hydroxyl. Okay. Hydroxylation. Okay, like that. Because in the kidney, guys, compare the situation in the kidney and the liver. Which is more having fluid? The kidney or the liver? Think, common sense. Liver or a kidney that contains most of the fluid? Or the acids or the whatever liquid form. Di ba ang kidney? Ang liver kay massive man siya, di ba? Massive. One solidified massive siya. So it's in the kidney. It's there the urine will stack like that. Okay? You know what I mean, right? The salts will be there, the creatinine, the bilirubin, the uric acid, and other electrolytes. Especially if you're eating junk foods, the salts, any kinds of salts, name it, will be there in the kidney. Okay, like that. So, ang mahitabo guys, even though the process is still hydroxylation, addition of OH, okay, now the product will be 125, ganun-ganun siya. Okay, dihydroxyl. Hydroxyl, okay, vitamin D. Ganon. Dili sa unahan, kay ano na siya, 25 hydroxy vitamin D. Ganon. So if you see that in the labeling of your vitamin D supplement, nadyo siya dito lang, 25 hydroxy vitamin D equal 25 close and open parenthesis OH times capital D. And that's happening in the liver. The process known as hydroxylation, introduction or introducing OH negative or the hydroxyl functional group. Now in the second stage, we have the kidney. Still again, the process is hydroxylation, but now the product will be 125 dihydroxyl or dihydroxy vitamin D. Di na siya because there's a lot of water, fluid, acids in the kidney compared to the liver. You get the point? Okay, there's a lot of fluidity there. Liquids, any kinds, okay? Muna siya trabaho sa kidney, good. Okay, now, sa intestine. Charot. Nakakaloka. Okay, intestine composed of small intestine. No, this is a gut. I will just put gut, ha? GUT. So that gut is composed of small intestine and large intestine. Okay, ganon. So focus na sa small intestine. Okay, ganon. Di ba ang small intestine, guys? Okay, mura siya slippery. Okay? And then there's a outer layer of the cell membrane. Okay. If we recall about the study of lipid and fat, what is the function of a fat? Or say, what is the function of a cholesterol? Because cholesterol is one form of a lipid or a fat. Okay, what is the function? It is the most important component of the cell membrane. You get the point? And it will protect the body organ. So just like a barrier in your house or a wall, like that. So in developing a very strong wall in your house, we need fat. The principle is just like that also. Let's say this room is an intestine and the wall is a cell membrane. The fat function is to make this wall very, very strong. Okay, and very, very fluid or flexible so that it can be regulated. What comes in, what comes out, different substances in the small intestine. Like that. So maybe say, improves the flexibility, ganon ganon, the rigidity, okay, and the fluidity of the cells in our cell membrane. Ganon ganon siya. Now, it really absorbed this vitamin D2 and vitamin D3. Nakatong raw material dito sa kuan, adlaw. Yan kaning dito diri sa gikan sa mga liver, mga ganon kidney ganon. So nagsama-sama sa pwersa. Okay, vitamin D2 and D3 musulod sa inyong intestine. Ganon. So that's the function of your fat or cholesterol for the absorption of this vitamin D2, ergo calciferol, vitamin D3, ganon, cholecalciferol into your small intestine. O ganon. Meaning, because as I said earlier, a while ago, vitamin D is fat-soluble vitamin. So it will be dissolved by fat. It will be carried out, carried in. Ganon. Okay, soluble na siya. Dito na siya insoluble. Okay, so that's why it will be absorbed. Okay, common sense. If it will be absorbed, meaning it's soluble. You get the point? Ganon. In a small intestine. Now, the vitamin D will be produced here, will be reduced if you are very, very fat. Di ba? And obesity. Okay, and aging. It will not function properly, the VD2 and VD3 to produce a vitamin D, which is a calciferol that we need in our body. Okay? Ganun siya. So, aging, the more we get old, the more our vitamin D losses. Just like the calcium losses and also the collagen protein will drop. So that when you grow old, your spinal column will bend, right? And you cannot walk properly because your bones are already developing this osteomalacia and osteoporosis driven by hypoglycemic tetany when you are still young, driven also by lack of vitamin D and vitamin D deficiency. Ganon. Okay? You get the point? O mo na sinitabo sa vitamin D. Okay? So this is also the reason why I change my cycle of my exercise. I do it before 5:30 p.m. and there's no more sun. And then I change it to 3 to 4 o'clock. There's still a sun so that I can gain vitamin D at the same time and losing my weight and releasing my toxins and fats outside my body. Right? So double purpose na siya. Okay, so, like this. No, I know that already in the past, the vitamin D issue too much of the sun, but, so that I can have multiple purpose, so I change like that. And it's very, very good really, guys. Okay, basta. Okay, I cannot explain further. Okay, my gosh. Okay, so sometimes, grabe, dili ka gutumon. You get the point? You'll never crave for carbo. Dili ka gutomon, guys. Gamay kag kanon per me. Wako gibong ko. Sa una mag-exercise ko without the heat of the sun. Okay? Kuan siya, dili ko gutomon. But makontrol na ako akong gutom. But what I mean, why does it happen na kami kong gutomon? Kung Wala ko libuan sa adlaw. So there's something, di ba, special with the heat of the sun and the reaction of this physiology inside our body and the anatomy, right? Maybe it will biosynthesize also carbo, even though you will not take outside carbohydrates, you will eat like the bread, the caboose, chapati, milk bread, whatever, like that. Okay? So meaning to say, it can also manufacture by its own inside our body. That's why we will not feel hungry. Okay, you get the point. Instead of adding carbo, the carbo will be manufactured more and more because of this vitamin D. So you will never crave for another carbo. You will never feel hungry. Right? Now let's investigate that. There's no evidence for that. That's only my interpretation as a chemical engineer. Like that, it's not in the book. Okay, so this is only my, shall I say, hypothesis. Okay, meaning initial guess that's gonna be happening. And now we will study further. What's the relation of vitamin D now to carbohydrates? Right? You get the point? Because I add more now vitamin D in my system compared as before. Right? And then why I did not feel very hungry all the time. So there's a relation of carbohydrates with vitamin D, and let's investigate what's the chemical reaction of vitamin D and carbohydrates with an empirical formula of CH2O. Carbohydrates, right? Okay? Like that. So ato na siyang studihan ang vitamin D. Okay. So, yeah, yes, really, because by looking only in the formula, see, in the liver, we produce hydroxylation, we produce 25 OH-D. And take note, CHO also has OH. Right? Common sense. Ako rin ha, one is a libro. Okay, CHO, right? CH2O. We have also common elements here in the carbohydrate and common also to the vitamin D. So kung mag-swap, sanib puwersa sila, oxygen atoms and hydrogens in the 25 OH-D plus the carbohydrates. So, dili na ka mo crave pag-ayo o carbohydrates. Kaya na naman daan because of this vitamin D. Taas tayo siya vitamin OH. OH, taas kayo siya oxygen and hydrogen. Sa mga masana ang formula sa carbohydrate, bingo, nakita na dako dayon. Okay? Sa liver or kidney. That's why, dili kayo tagutomon kung sa heat of the sun. But, we feel thirsty. You get the point? Because thirsty and hungry is not the same. If we feel hungry, we crave for a solid substance. If we are thirsty, we crave for a liquid substance known as water or drinking water or any kind of drinks. That's the difference between thirsty and hungry, right? Common sense. The applicability of the grammar, right? If you are thirsty, you need water, not solid substance or food. If you are hungry, you need solid substance, not water. Okay? So, muna siya ang naitabo. Okay? So, investigate pa na natin siya further ha. Ang reaction, maybe after 2 days, after 3 days, I will be able to research pa regarding for this why. Charot! Nakakaloka. O muna siya ang vitamin D. Any questions so far? Salamat kayo sa inyong pagtanaw sa akong health science vitamin D. Jamir Alexander, Marcy Tolentino, Kaur Abbas, what's this? And Maricel Cabaral. Thank you so much. Marami akong audience. Charot! Ay, nakakaloka. Hi, John. Maujud me. Charot! Okay. So, manakas na vitamin D. So, di na tama, maluka pa. Yung sandig na ganit tagamay, maluka pa na yun ka. Ay, kung ka vitamin D. Wag ko kag-push with a 2,000 Newton force, alin na, tumba kag kalit, isang degree mong gamay mong kauban, na tumba kag diretso. O, di ba? So, something wrong with your vitamin D. Di ba? Now, let's go to the, last na siya guys, let's go to the intake of vitamin D. Ako na siyang research, but ako siyang screenshot to confirm and to validate how factual am I. Like that, okay? So, I have my, where's my mobile phone? Siyempre, ako nikuha nga akong edad. 41 to 50 years old. Ganun siya. But let's take the general also. The general, guys, 18 years old to 70 years old. Oh my God, Lord God, can I still up to 70 years old? Oh my God, Lord God. Okay, 18 years old to 70 years old. Ay, nako. Okay, we need at least 600, okay, international units of vitamin D. Okay, and above, the better. Okay, and above. Now, for 71 years old, charot, kaloka. 71 years old to above, we need 800 IU and above also. Okay? Now, the general concept, if you have less than of 50, but the unit is different. How can I convert this one? Okay, 50 nanomole per liter. Nakakaloka? Di ba? If your vitamin D is less than 50 nanomole per liter, so delikado siya sa osteoporosis and osteomalacia and hypoglycemic tetany. Nakakaloka. Di ba? So better above din sa 50, but the unit is not the same with iron na ha. 50 nanomoles per liter. And we need to convert in order we can understand, right? How can we do this? Since we know conversion factors, algebra. Okay? So, okay. Let's do math. Math tayo. Okay. If by theory, 1 microgram is equal to 40 international units of vitamin D. Now, we need to convert 50 nanomole, kataas na yung nano eh, mole per liter. Nano is 10 to the 9 after mega, 10 to the 6. So, I have to state this 50 times 10 to the 9 mole per liter. So, this is now a unit of concentration, molarity, mole per liter, right? Or solubility, an expression, identification of a concentration of a solution. That's molarity or moles per liter. So we have now the unit of concentration. Now, convert this concentration to microgram. Nakakaloka. Okay, now the only way to do that, again, we're having the concept of molar mass. Always like that, if you understand really the the chemistry lecture, you will flash back in your brain cells. It's gonna be like that, molar mass is talking about mass and related to the volume. Okay, dali naman ang volume. Density, mass over volume. Density kayo siya if you have the mass. Okay, so molar mass na yun. Molar mass. Again, chemistry, theory. Molar mass is just equal to molecular weight. Tantamount to molecular weight. As you siya kalinti, guys, basic lang yung kayo siya. Ang molar mass, maobi na siya ang molecular weight. Okay, or it is also the atomic mass. If single element siya, atomic mass or atomic weight. It's just the same, mass and weight, because we are not referring to the gravitational pull of the earth na applying the acceleration due to gravity na 9.81 meter per second squared and 32.2 feet per second squared. We able to use this in the equation. Weight is equals to mass times acceleration due to gravity. What's the reason for this? Because these are substances. These are not directed downward, just like an object or, falling in the ground. So that's why we can say technically that weight is just the same as mass because the gravity is not an issue. So that's why we said atomic mass, atomic weight is just the same. Molecular weight or molecular mass is just the same. That's why our general term is molar mass. So meaning to say, we can also say molar weight, but it's chemistry wrong grammar. Molar mass is correct, but molar weight is not correct. Why? Why not molar weight is correct? Molar weight. Okay? It should be molecular weight. Not molar weight, molar mass. Okay? What is the molecular weight or the molar mass of vitamin D? So, wa mo na ako memorize. Okay, so ano na ang day na. Okay, 25 man siya kabukang hydroxyl niya. Nasa siya ikuan. So, ano ka ano. Sige. 50 times 10 to the 9 mole per liter. Okay. Now, gusto ka mahimo-imo siya ang microgram. Chararat ko yun. Diba? Moles per liter. So, gamitan niyo og grams per gram mole. Diba? Grams per mole. So, ang mabilin, kuan, mole, grams per liter ang nabilin. So, grams per liter, that is already density. Because grams is mass, and the numerator, and L is the volume. So, density na niya siya. Ganon. So, nanakay grams per liter. Now, convert that to the microgram. Okay? Like that. So, okay. 10 to the 6, right? 10 to the 6 gram, because it is micro, is equal to 1 microgram. Right? So, cancel the gram, what's left is the microgram. Okay? So, bingo. This is 1 microgram per liter. Because the 1 microgram here, guys, is understood the basis of your calculation in every letters of vitamin D. If you remember about chemistry, right, you have the basis of calculation. For example, water or solution, it should be 100 grams of solution always, or 1,000 liter, or volume. Most of the ang ginong gi-assume na 1 liter ang solution ang vitamin D. Mo namin ka 1 microgram over liter, assuming that there is 1 liter of that particular vitamin D. Okay, ganon. Basis of calculation. Okay? Because if not, microgram is only a unit of a mass. Right? So since we are doing the unit of a concentration to density, so there's no reason if we don't put denominator here. So we should put denominator here. So it's gonna be liter always, because most of the, doctors level or dosage or normal range of the, for example, cholesterol, blood, whatever, bilirubin, like that, always expressed in per liter. For example, milligrams per liter, ganon. Millimoles per liter. It happens in vitamin D. We don't use this. We use only microgram per liter and international units, something like that, or nanomoles per liter. Okay. Klaro mo kasi ang concentration na yun ang kaning moles per liter. Good. I've had look sa mga prefix ng mga nano, tera, pico, giga, centi, deci, micro, mega, peta, hepta, hexa. Ganon. Okay. Prefix na siya. Okay. Gipuno sa mole. So, concentrations pa rin. Okay. Dito po sa convert, chuba-chucho lang. Okay. So now, I don't know the molecular weight of vitamin D because I don't memorize that one. Who dares to memorize the molecular weight of the vitamins? Okay? Because as I told you, study in chemical engineering, normally not focusing on the bio part. We are focusing on the, the physical and chemical processes of different industries, different plants, different companies, different factories, like that. But we are not dealing the processes inside our body. That's biochemistry, really. Okay, so that's why we don't go in detail for these vitamins, chuba chucho, minerals, chuba chucho, like that, protein, chuba chucho, carbohydrates, chuba chucho, cholesterol, chuba chucho, blood, chuba chucho. Because our center of study is not inside our body. Okay? Though we have biochemical engineering, but in the point of applying that in the process, not on the inside the body, because in the process also have an catalyst there. The materials also sometimes have plants like that. Also apply there in the outside, physical processes, not only okay, like that mukhaon tag dahon ito isudit sa convert ka na siya chuba-chucho, right? Except for photosynthesis. All of us will study photosynthesis, not limited only to the doctors, to the nurses, because photosynthesis is everybody concerned, and we will die without photosynthesis. So all kinds of courses, especially elementary grade or high school grade, doon pa lang, gitudlo na ang photosynthesis. Ano ba chlorophyll kay kita man tanan mabulahan ana. Okay? So whereas kung nanadyo sa mga clinical mga kuan related jud siya sa medical science, other courses or most of the courses will not touch that. Okay? Only small chupa-chucho. But in my part, I want to learn. That's why I need to research, read, go through some references. Then I can easily adapt because chemistry is related pagod sa medical science. Okay, mga medicines. And most of the medicines composed of chemicals, organic compounds. Then I can easily understand what's going on, the reaction and the behavior like that's going to be happening if there's a reaction there. Oh my gosh, na ganon. So, mag-imagine ako sa akong self. Wow, nakakaloka. Okay, thank you so much for watching this live streaming. And you can comment down below. This is the topic of vitamin D. Okay, so next topic will be about, ano gusto niyo topic guys? About health. Why I choose health? Because health is wealth. Okay, and then if we don't consider health first, then we will die. Okay, we will die immediately, and our money is useless. Okay, our money saved from the bank is useless. Our investment in the bank is useless if you are already in the cemetery. Okay, like that. Or if you are already sick. Okay, and you cannot bring your money when you die, but you can bring your body when you die inside the ground or whatever. Okay, muna siya philosophy why science is important than money courses or money related courses. That's why. Okay, higher level ang importance sa science courses compared to money matters. Okay, courses. Get the point. Okay, puro ra kwarta ang giatubang and money would not help. Though you can buy food, you can buy gasoline, whatever, but sa daghang pagkakwarta kung masakiton ka, nga. Okay? Okay? Kung makanser ka, basta na pa kay bilin-bilin nga dito na makasolve sa imong cancer, mamatay jud ka. Okay? You get the point? So that's why science or health science are important more than other courses. Okay? Agree or not? Nakakaloka. If you don't agree, just comment in the section and let's discuss it in healthy manner and then we can change ideas why. Like that, okay? Thank you so much. Bye-bye. God bless everybody. Nakakaloka. O diba?